All right.
What's happening?
This is the first time I've ever used Instagram
Really?
for anything. Yeah, it's pretty
This
cool.
is a this is a good forum right here. It's easy to come on. It's easy to set up. For me producing it, it's real. It's smooth.
Okay. Yeah, seems to be. I can see you
How?
clear.
Yeah. How are you? How you doing?
Yeah, good. Just got through watching that Last Dance, man. So I'm like pumped. I'm ready to go play somebody in one-on-one.
Right?
One on none or something.
I messaged a friend of mine. I was like, "Yo, I'm ready to go drop 30 and 10 on somebody right
Oh,
now."
it just you get your hearts going. Then you see a lot of guys you played against, and just the intensity they play with, and just man the rivalries, and just yeah, get you fired up again. Get you
It
fired
was.
up.
What about my man? I was just talking about it before I brought you on when Rodman went to Vegas for 4 days.
And was supposed to only do two, and just blanked out. Hey, Jordan made a good point though. He still came back and outworked him. Like he still came back and played hard on the court, and gave everything, even though he's 4 days in Vegas, which is just crazy, crazy.
And he runs into Carmen Electra, a beautiful girl. And I don't know about yourself, but me personally, I've been caught up in a few traps in Vegas where I have been led astray by a beautiful woman. And 3 days turns into a week.
And she wasn't Carmen Electra, whoever she was, you got caught up with. So you can see him definitely get caught up with her. She might have laid a lot of traps.
It was, and the funny part about her was she was like, I didn't know any NBA schedules. I didn't know where he was supposed to be.
Like you were going to help him get there anyway.
Oh, man. Oh, that's so good. So let's go back to not your playing stint, but your first coaching stint. What was it, 2002 you got here?
Yeah, 2002 in Brisbane. I think the team at the time was having some issues there. 0-10 when I got here.
Whoa.
And I got a chance to go on the road to Canberra and watch a game, just to get the feel for the team, just watching, not coach, but just watch. And Canberra had a whip. Canberra had a whip. If that team hadn't gotten broken up, Dave Thomas, Mike Chappelle, C.J. Bruton,
Yeah.
Mick Hill,
Nick Hill. Yeah.
they had a whip up there. That team would have been unbelievable. So I watched them play against that team, and Brisbane played them pretty close. And I was like, we got some guys we can win with here. So, we finally got together, and I started learning guys' names. I was getting guys' names mixed up
Yeah.
and who they were, and we played some decent ball that year. Went ahead to play some decent ball.
And so when did I join? I came in 03, the next year.
You came the very next year. We knew we
Right.
needed a point guard. We knew we
Yep.
needed a point guard. We needed a savvy point guard, and your relationship with Simon allowed us to just recruit you
Yep.
and get you in. We got you in there, and I got lucky and got Blackie in there. The whole time I was coaching that year, I'm just scouting. I'm scouting players. I'm scouting coaching styles. Why certain coaches are winning, other coaches are not.
Yeah.
And I knew I needed some IQ in the backcourt. And so we got you in there, and got Blackie in there. And for, a second-year coach, that made my job real easy,
Right.
because you guys played the game the way I wanted you to play it on both ends of the court, and you just made intelligent decisions on the other end of the court. I mean, it made my job real easy.
And I think we went on a run, too, that first year up there. What did we win, like 9, 10, 11 in a row or something?
Yeah, it was crazy. Like we were, that year before we ended up finishing last, and then the year you and Blackie came in, we with the Gorgon teams in Sydney and and the great Melbourne teams, we were first and second for a lot of that year. We came back and just rolled that year and played some good basketball. We had Kevin Freeman, who, in my opinion, at the time was the best import in the league.
Yeah.
And Bobby was solid. He's right up there. Bobby was killing it. So, and then Benny Castle came on that year and did his work, and it gelled and was a real good team. Real good team.
But those first, my 3 seasons that I played under you, we couldn't get health going. We'd always have an untimely injury. Then I was out after the '06 season. You guys bring in CJ, Copes is out. You bring in a whole new fresh squad, and then you put together probably, one of the top 3 teams all time. I think that '07 Bullets team. It has the record for the most consecutive wins. Correct?
Correct. Yeah, it was 21 games in a row.
Wow.
That squad was kind of, a combination of all the other teams. Like, the way you
Yeah.
build it up is you go, okay, this guy goes out, I'll bring in this guy for that position. Where we've been getting hurt at, like Sydney always had a dynamic import that, could play inside, outside, and
Yep.
handle the ball. Chris, we couldn't do anything with Chris. Chris, he was just, he could do everything. So we were like, we got to find someone that can do a little bit of that. Inside, outside, and go to work. And Sam McKinnon did a lot of that as an Australian player.
Yep.
But it was, we bring that team together, and we get the year before we had no. I tried to explain this to Eddie. We had no dirty work, hard workers. We had all executives, and we had no one that wanted to do the dirty work. So it was just we had too many executives, and then bringing in Dylan kind of showed people, man, you can have an influence on the team and not really score a lot of points. Hoagie did the same thing. Hoagie came in and had a huge influence, but didn't score a lot of points. And it kind of gave some of the guys who could score points, idea, maybe I should do some other things. So,
well, there's always been, in NBL history, there's always been a role for that type of guy. Boucher, Warwick Giddey, Mark Leader. It just goes back on and on and on.
Mika Vakuna, he came through as a new age guy.
Wagstaff.
Wagstaff. And, we looked this year with Obi. Obi, I think, in the next couple of years can do that, but also, be a little bit better ball player as well. I think he'll be able to, knock some buckets down and make some moves and do some things as well.
So who was the architect? How did it all work back then, Joey? Did Eddie Groves have confidence in you to put that team together, or was Van Groningen putting that team? How did it all work?
Well, Eddie and Jeff had, obviously worked together on some teams before I got there and had some opinions about how to put teams together. But I knew it was, like I said, I was scouting the whole time. I'll give you an example. We played Canberra that year and that I was watching. And when I was overseas, I told Jeff, I said, go get the tall guy from Canberra that can handle the ball a little bit, that was going to work, that can shoot the ball. And so that game, Brad Williams just went to work. Is it Brad Williams or Brad? It was Brad Williams, wasn't it?
Brad Williams.
Yeah, he went to work like 30. He was playing a little point. He was posted. And I was talking about him. Well, the next year, I showed back up in Brisbane, and I'm in practice, and I'm going down the line. I was shaking all you guys' hand and introducing myself, and I saw Mick Hill, and I was like, who are you? And he goes, I'm Mick Hill. I was like, I've never seen you before. So I walk over to Jeff, and I go, who is this guy? He goes, that's the tall guy you said was playing point guard. I was like, no, I was talking about the other dude, which was Brad Williams. So it was that ended up being one of the best mistakes I ever made in getting Mick Hill in that spot. But I got a chance to pick those teams, and I got a chance to pick, I picked Dylan as one, and Eddie kind of gave me the, okay, if Dylan doesn't work out, it's all on you. And the first preseason game that year, Dylan had 9 steals in a preseason game, and that was half the game. That was down in Coffs Harbour. And Eddie fell in love with him then and just said, look, this guy can go.
What did you think about Eddie as an owner?
Eddie was great. I didn't have a problem with Eddie. Yeah, Eddie was great. He was, he's enthusiastic, and he stayed out of the way for the most part, and he was great. I mean, he showed up at the games. He did those real cool cowboy owner type things. I'm flying the whole team to Vegas, and I'm flying.
Yeah.
I'm flying to, show up at the airport. I rented a jet. I'm flying the fans to Melbourne for a game and paying for everybody's ticket. And, we got treated really well and treated first class. And so, he was great. Great.
That '07 title was like so uplifting for the city. But then the next year, all that shit just fell apart with the financial crisis. and
Yeah.
Eddie's business. He had been on all the while I was there, Eddie Groves' goal was to be one of the richest men in the world and be the king of childcare throughout the world. And as part of that, you got to take some risk. And Eddie was a risk taker, and he was raising money, and he was globally raising money to build his empire. And unfortunately, he just leaned too hard. And when that crash occurred, when that market crashed, people wanted their money back quick.
Yeah, the GFC at that time was something probably no one in our generation had ever seen before. And, people went through the Great Depression, but we hadn't seen the GFC before. And so Eddie's business model, which part of my deal at Brisbane was to spend an hour at Eddie a week and learn from him on the business side. So I did that a couple times, and I understood his business model. And his business model was all about acquiring acquisition, more and more borrowing, acquiring acquisition, and just buy up the market. Then once you got the market, you can change the numbers and run it the way you want. Well, when the GFC happened, you can't borrow anymore. And all of a sudden they start calling in notes. And it just, I think it was a share went from what, $12 to $1 or something in a day or something. It was something crazy.
Yeah. And then
the backlash we felt.
A couple of months later, it was gone.
It was gone, yeah. That backlash we felt out on the court the next year, and obviously it continued to grow after that, and it just got, he had to pull out and get out. Yeah.
Damn. And after that, you hung around, did a bit of work in Queensland with, were you with Seahawks in basketball Queensland?
Yeah, I was doing a myriad of jobs, a plethora of jobs.
Really?
I was actually finally earning some real money, but I was working real estate, commercial real estate. I was working for the Seahawks, and I was working for Basketball Queensland. And I actually really enjoyed that year. And but I was working my butt off and driving from Ipswich to, Brisbane to Gold Coast and working with players. But it was some really great players came through during that time, and I got a chance to work with some good people.
Then you get the job at the Blaze. The Blaze. I mean, I'm not being disrespectful of the Gold Coast Blaze or your career or anything. But that just seems like the fill-in years. It's the years.
hey,
What?
We had some good years there. We had some good years.
I know, but it seemed like between the Adelaide Grand Final appearances and the Brisbane win, it's like the flyover.
Now you can't say that. That's
my fault.
That's why with Petrie, Kadig, Gibson, Goulding, Worthington, Garlap.
Squad.
It was, Ayinde Ubaka, if we could have kept him. I mean, those teams would have been a beast, and they were all young. They just weren't quite ready to win yet. It was just like that. What I just was watching with Chicago and Detroit. We didn't know how to win then. Those guys were just finding out they were ball players. Wortho knew he was a ball player. We brought in Stephen Hoare, who gave us great balance in what he did, leadership. He knew he was a ball player. But Petrie kind of was, I could play a little bit. Goulding was, I might be able to play. Gibson, kind of, I can do this. Yeah. Kadeem still, had known how good he was. So we just didn't know at that particular time. And it was just what the Chicago Bulls that went through with Detroit. But once that switch happens, it just happens. You roll.
But check it out. All those guys you named are top flight, either turned out to be top flight ballers or still are.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I knew that team and that group was going to be something special. If we could have kept them together, we ran into a financial, crisis there. Gold Coast is its own different monster. Commercially, it's no one to. Commercially, it's not a lot, going towards the clubs, and commercially, it's a lot out of players' legs. It's taking a lot out of the players' legs.
Yes. It always sounds like a good idea. Let's put a pro franchise on the Gold Coast. It would be great. No, it won't.
Players love it. Players love it. I mean, it was. I remember one situation. This is when I first got the job. We had a mixer before the season started on the Gold Coast, and one of the supporters came up to me and said, "Look, Joey, we played 5 games of our first 10 at home. If you could win 2 of those, this city would go crazy. You'd be doing well." And I was like, 2? What do you mean, 2? And he was like, yeah, if you could get just two of the first 5 games at home. I said, what about the road? He goes, oh, we don't give a shit about the road.
Wow.
And that's what the fans were like on the Gold Coast. Could care less about the road and was very easily satisfied. So we won 5 of those first 5 at home. So I think we did pretty good. No, we lost 4. We lost our first game and won the next 4. So we did pretty good.
What would you say your coaching style is like at this point? Because you're about 6 years in at this point, right? 6, 7 years in.
Yeah, at this point, it wasn't much different. Like people talk a lot about coaching styles. Look, it's a premise. It's a game that needs to be played a certain way. You can plug players in and out and do this and the other, but if you don't get players that are going to play hard, you don't get intelligent players. You don't get players that are creative, can knock shots down, make plays. You're just not going to win. And so my style is to try to get the best players I can, develop the rest, and play a style of basketball that's fun. I mean, it's not a rocket science. It's pretty easy.
And your teams traditionally, although in the last 4 seasons they probably play as quick as ever. But it seems like you gradually played faster and faster.
Well, the league also picked up. When I came to the league, so just to regress a little bit, you're talking about my style at that particular time. My style at that particular time could win us 4 games a year because there were certain teams that didn't want to play fast. We practiced fast and we played fast. I mean, you would know at Gold Coast. I mean, at Brisbane, we did a lot of running. And we scrimmaged a lot. We scrimmaged a lot in practice. And our style of play would win us 4 or 5 games a year because it was certain teams that didn't want to play at that pace and couldn't play at that pace. Now the league's, the last 5, 6, 7 years, the league is fast. Everybody's playing up tempo. So you're not, my style is not going to outrun anybody anymore. You're not just going to win with just playing fast. But it looked like my teams got faster because everybody else started speeding up as well. So if the guy on the other side is going fast, then all of a sudden it's 110 to 90.
And what about your interactions? So you've gone from that team, the teams in Brisbane, which were young veteran to veteran, to a young crew. How did you change the way you dealt with people off the floor? How did you coach them differently? I know you've always loved the development work, so I'm sure that's always maintained a solid line all the way through your career. But certainly at times you had to just change the way you interacted.
Well, look, it's crazy. I mean, I coach you. You're older than me. I coached Hoagie. Hoagie was older than me. I coached Copes. Copes was older than me. So it was definitely different relationships with different people based on who they were and what they brought to the table. As a coach, I think you always have to acknowledge that. I don't treat everybody the same. But no matter what, you were older than me, Hoagie was older than me. If you didn't do the right thing, we had a conversation about it. And if you didn't do it again, it was an aggressive conversation. And I give you an example. When Josh Childress was coming in, Sydney said to me, my daughter says, Dad, how are you gonna coach Josh? Like he's big time. And I said, I'm gonna hold Josh to the values of basketball. I don't care who he is. He's got to hold. I'm gonna hold him to the values of basketball. Josh, come in and train hard, play hard. I don't care about you missing shots, turning the ball over, forgetting plays. That stuff is not as important to me as coming in, supporting your teammates, playing hard, practicing hard, being nice to the fans, being nice to your coaches, and that stuff. So it changes, with each player. It changes.
So what about that belief you hear a lot, especially in junior basketball? Oh, you got to treat everybody the same. Where does that, if that is true at junior basketball, where does that evolution take place where it's like, hold on now?
No, you treat them same as a human being. You speak to them, you pick them up when they're hurting. You call them up when they're sad. You call them up when they break up with their girlfriend. That doesn't matter who it is. That's no matter if you're a 44-year-old player or you're a rookie player. You treat them the same as a human being. But it ain't equal opportunity on that court. It is not. The best players get to shoot more. The players that can play better defense, they're gonna be on the court at certain times. Guys that can shoot threes and make free throws gonna be on at a certain time. There's no equal opportunity on that court. If you want to be the one with that ball in your hands and be on the court, go learn how to do everything. Go rebound, play defense, block shots, shoot the three, make your free throws, remember plays. You'll be on the court. You'll be on the court.
Wow. That's, it's just such a different era now. And I guess the biggest change in terms of players' mindset occurs probably in the past 5 to 6 years, it seems like, when you're down in Adelaide. Like, players are different now. In my time coaching, I stopped team coaching in 2015, I think 2016, and I could sense some things change, and guys were like, before I got there, there were some players at Logan who hadn't been a part of winning teams. And then when I got there, we started winning, but then guys were talking about how they felt too much pressure.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely changed. There's no question in the player now and the player then. But that change is a lot to do with society. I mean, we always try to take sports and take it out. Sports is nothing but a reflection of society. And when we take that and we look at society, people are more entitled now. I should play. Well, why should you play? You haven't even, in practice, you haven't went hard. You can't remember the plays. You can't hit threes. Why should you play? Because I'm on the team. I should play. That mentality 20 years ago when I first started coaching wasn't there. I mean, guys almost knew they wasn't playing because they couldn't do this or if a guy didn't work hard and you called him out for it, his resistance wasn't that, I don't want to work hard. Like I'm not working hard. He might just be, I don't want to work hard, but he knew he wasn't working hard. Now you call a guy out for not working hard and he'll go, I'm working hard. Well, you walked up and down the court the last 2 plays up and down the court. And so the mentality has changed, but it's a reflection of our society, which is more of an entitlement mentality. Here in Brisbane, here in Adelaide, I saw that more and more, but I think all coaches were seeing it more and more, not just here in LA.
And once again, you take over in Adelaide, and you've got – so who are some of the good Australian players you got at that point?
DJ was a beast. I mean, I walked into a situation where you got a 6'10" guy that can shoot threes and score on back to the basket and remembers every play you got and every play the other team got. I just could not believe.
How was DJ to coach? Did you enjoy coaching DJ? You like him as a guy? What's he?
I love coaching DJ. I initially thought he hated me because he never spoke to me. As you know, I'm a real relationship-based coach, so I like to have a relationship with my players that supersede just basketball. And DJ didn't want a bar of it. He'd come in and work his butt off. He's first one in the lines, and at 6'10", he's up there with the guards, and he wear everybody out. And then hey DJ, and he wave and he keep going. And I just had to understand that was more about him than it was about me. And I had to explain that to anyone new coming to the team. Hey, this is who DJ is. No disrespect at all. He's one of the nicest guys in the world. This is just who he is. But coming with 2 minutes to go, you're gonna want to see him on your team. So so he was great that year. And obviously Adam and Kadi was there. Kadi had started to blossom into a little player. Adam was balling at the top of his game. We had Petrie, who was here as well. So I walked into Mitch Creek. I walked into a squad. Like I didn't walk into a group that couldn't play. Yeah. The biggest thing for them was convincing them they could play. Like that was the biggest thing.
And so how do you go about that? How do you instill that confidence?
Expectations, I think, got a lot to do with it. Like expectations. I expected us to win. Like I'd never been in a situation where my teams weren't competitive, and we didn't make playoffs. And I told them when we walked in, I said, with this team, I'm looking around the league like we should make playoffs. And they all kind of, okay. And I was like, no, we making playoffs. Like look around the room. We got a guy that can, Mitch Creek, you can guard everybody. We got DJ who can't be guarded on the block. Gibbo, you can run the team pressure on anybody. Like Petrie, you can do a little of everything. Like, let's get some imports in here and get this thing right. So expectations is one. I think the expectations that you got to do that, and then the fear of not losing first. Like, I tell them we're gonna win by 20 or lose by 20. We ain't gonna be trying to keep it close. And, if we're up 8 with 5 minutes to go, let's keep balling. Let's keep balling. They were used to kind of getting a little tight and pulling it out, and the group was a conservative group, so I just had to loosen them up a little bit.
Where did you get that? Who influenced you to play that style of game, the up-tempo thing? Does that come back from college, or where did you bring that from? And who were some of the coaches that kind of influenced you?
Well, look, no question, ifs, ands, and buts about it. A lot of who I am as a coach come from Tom Penders, my college coach. As a college player, I had 3 college coaches in 4 years due to guys getting fired. And but I saw how the other 2 guys coached and related to players, and I saw how Tom coached and related to players, and I just could not see any difference. I was like, why wouldn't I score 100? Now everybody's feeling good about their 15 and 5. I got 5 guys feeling really good. 4 guys feeling really good about their numbers, and treat them like human beings and care about them. And man, everyone wants to play that way. I thought I could not even understand why these other 2 guys want to play the way they wanted to. And so Tom Penders was pretty much 90% of my influence. And then after that, it was just learning as much as I can from other coaches. I learned a lot from the coaches in this league. Gorgon, what I did in the second year after you was there, so your second year.
Yep.
During the summer, I watched every Sydney Kings game they had. Gorgon them won 7 games that year by less than 2 points. And I was like, what are they doing at the end of games to keep winning? Like, what plays is he running sets? I knew what his philosophy was on defense, but I watched every single game during the offseason and watched why they won, what made them win, One, he brought in free throw shooters. He didn't have any guy on his team that shot like under 74%. So, I mean, they obviously had, a lot of national team players, but they had guys that could hit free throws. He had 2 or 3 coach believers. Like he had, Jason Smith would have, if you didn't listen to Gorgon, he would have, he would have killed you, So he had some coach believers. So he had some guys that believed in his stuff no matter what. I mean, he had, some flat-out multi-talented guys that could play a little bit positions. Every position. You had Shane, had a feisty, fiery attitude. You had Chris Williams who could go to work. So I just studied his teams and what he did, and it made me a better coach.
So who was your coach believer in Adelaide, or believers?
Without a doubt, Mitch Creek. Mitch Creek was, he was a coach believer. That one year we went to the grand final. The second time we went to the grand final,
2018.
I had Shannon Shorter, who, he was a coach believer. I had Mitch Creek and I had Josh Childress.
Right.
So out of those, and Sobey was right there too. He was right there, not as probably much as those 3. So you got guys that'll preach it and do it, and hold people accountable. Those are 3 traits you want. A guy that's going to preach it. Hey, coach said we need to be doing this. Then they're going to go out and do it, and then they're going to hold everybody accountable. And so I had 3 guys that would do that, and that was powerful.
So 2014, you guys had a nice run through the grand final. You lose to Ennis and Perth and them, and I thought you guys played they were just a good team. How did you evaluate it at the end?
Look, they had probably more talent. I mean, with Ennis, who was he was a head and shoulders above the league, and then Bill doing that finals was unbelievable. We only had 1 import that year, I think. We had 1 import that year, Gary Irvin. So we finished with Gary Irvin that year, and they were more talented, and Trevor did a good job with them, had them in the right places at the right time, and they were just talented. But we made a run, got to game 3, and Bill and Enos stood up and went to work. So, yeah, but it was a good year. Going from I think they had finished. I'm not sure where they finished the year before, but to go to the grand final that year with that group who didn't bleed gave us a head start for the rest of the time.
And then in let's see, was it 2015 or 2016? In comes probably the perfect point guard for what you want to do, Jerome Randall. You guys have an injury to, I forgot the guy's name that hurt his knee early in the year. What was his name, Joey?
McNeil.
Yes.
Yeah.
He does his knee.
Yeah.
You get a
or
hookup
shoulder.
with Jerome. Shoulder.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We probably got lucky in that one. With him getting injured and us, having the opportunity to go after another player because at that particular time we didn't really have the funds to go after what we wanted when we brought in Kenyon. And we were and no fault of his. He came and went to work and did what we expected and what we asked for the money we were paying him. But then we went to a whole different class when we went to Jerome. That was a whole different step up to ball players. So that kind of changed the whole, perspective of what we were doing.
And it was like the perfect system for the player and with a coach that's going to give you the ability to just go and do your thing as long as you're playing the right way. And Jerome takes full advantage. And, it's over the past 10 years, I'm looking at most exciting players in the NBL. You got Cotton, you got Cotton, you got Randall. I just don't know when those two guys are at their peak, Joey. I'm not sure they're two more exciting players over the past 10 years.
Jerome hits more tough shots. Probably Jerome and Cotton both hits more tough shots than anybody I've ever seen. His pull up into a shot with a hand in his face at 5'8" is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
With the number of ways to load it up, through the legs, behind the back, double cross into it, off the left. I like pulling up off the left. He can come down and pull up off his right hand just as effectively, and that's tough for a right-handed shooter.
He pull up off his right, left. It doesn't matter. Once he gets over his head, it's a bucket. So that year, I think he shot. And I know a lot of coaches don't like this, the mid-range thing, but he shot 62 or 63% from the mid-range that year. I mean, how can you tell somebody don't shoot the mid-range? And he shot it at I think it was 62% that year. He shot it. So, he came in. Who else we have that year? Eric? Was that Eric? No.
What was his
big
fella?
That was the next year. The next year we brought Ian, I think, and we won. We finished first that year and lost to Wollongong in the finals.
Wollongong.
Yeah. Wollongong put the Detroit Pistons on us.
Yeah, I know. And how was coaching Jerome through those times, though? I mean, Jerome, as everyone knows, fairly volatile. He can have his own moves and so forth.
It was what he did that year is he came in and he was coachable that very first year and did what we needed him to do. I think he got comfortable in that second year and came back. We bumped heads a little bit early on. And then once we had a sit down, I think we're at the time, I want to say we were, I can't remember, maybe 5th, 6th, 7th place or something like that. And we had a sit down and we got things clear. And we won about 11 of our next 12 and kind of walked that year into the minor premiership and just walked it. But anytime you coach a great player, it's no difference than, issues I would have had with you when you were running point. You're going to have some frustrations, but it is a value system that every player has to play to on great teams. And great players want to be coached. Great players want to be coached. So if they're not being coached, great players can go the other way.
So we get to 2018, and those guys are starting to develop. Creek is starting to look like he might be an NBA guy. You got Shorter, as you said. Shorter's come in to replace Randall. You guys have made, once again, you've gone on another streak. We got to touch. I talked to Dean Vickerman about this too. We got to talk about why your teams can have the capability every single year to go on such long winning streaks. But anyway, you got Sobey. Sobey is now legitimate. He's getting considered for
He's legit at
NBA.
this point. Yeah, yeah.
You know, he's. I still think he's outstanding. DJ is even better than he was 4 years before then. You got Childress, right?
Mm.
So you got
Childress,
an
yep.
absolutely banging roster. 5-game series against Melbourne United.
You there?
Yep, I'm here.
So yeah, we got we got a 5-game series against Melbourne, who they were loaded, man. They could ball. Casper's doing this thing at the point. They just got it figured out. Prather was a beast. They just got on Will Goulden. Was playing. I think that's probably his best year almost. He was just hitting shots like crazy. So you got a big ass. You got a big ass. But we had come through that semifinals, and I thought coming through Perth was the best way to come through. If you can get through Perth,
huge.
Yeah, it's saying something about your fortitude, your makeup, all these making shots or making moves things. It's a lot to do with chemistry if you can get through Perth. So we're able to get through Perth, get to them in the grand final, and it was just matchups. I mean, we're right there the first game, and played them really tough. They hit some big shots, and they end up getting that one. We come back and put them away pretty easy in the second one, and I thought the third one was the deciding game. We were playing some good basketball, and some mojo happened with Sobey and the refs and some headbutts that just didn't happen. It was unfortunate because Sobey was playing his butt off. He was D'ing up. Yeah. He was running the point. He was knocking shots down, and what he did was nothing. He didn't do anything. I mean, after review of the video, he actually got hit butt twice. And we got it on video. He got hit butt twice, and he ends up getting thrown out the game after getting hit butt twice. So that was the decider, and they ended up getting that one. They came back. I think they had some big shots. Then Casper went on a roll. They had some big shots, and then the fourth one we got them again. Got them pretty easy, and then the fifth one they stepped to another level and kicked our butt. We wasn't even in the game. We didn't look like we were in the game. We had 2 or 3 players. That was I don't know if the moment was big, but they got bigger with the moment, and they looked really good. And it was no contest fifth game. No contest. We pulled it back a little bit, but
a player like Nathan Sobey, who is so athletic, and you can see the energy, the kinetic energy in Sobey. He's emotional. How do you? Because and here's the thing I was talking about, the coaching persona versus your actual who you are as a person away from the basketball court. Yeah. They're not the same.
No, it's funny though.
I think people think that you're the angry black dude walking down the street looking to punch somebody in the face at the servo.
I know. It's so funny because I am the silly one out of my friend group. I am the one crack a lot of jokes. I am, laid back. I'm the one that's going to come help you move. I'm the one that's going to come barbecue, at your house and, babysit your dog. Yeah. And yeah, you're right. It is a persona out there that wasn't necessarily by mistake. It wasn't necessarily by mistake. Someone wanted to create a narrative about who I was, and and the angry black man was easy to fit. But that's not the case. But going back related to Sobey is a fiery player. He's an emotional player, and what I think I do for players like Sobey, is Matthew Hodgson was one of those guys as well. They were good, great before I coached them. I mean, they were good. Like they were ball players. No one knew it because no one was willing to argue with them enough to see it. I was willing to, Haji would have called me some names that probably he couldn't have called some other coaches. But I said, you know what? I don't give a shit. He's 7 foot. He can jump and run and leap and do all these things. I'm gonna still play him. Like I'm gonna play him. Like I'm not gonna, just because you're not this guy, I'm still gonna play you. So I was, maybe would overlook some of those personality traits long enough to see their brilliance. And with Sobey, I just could not understand why this guy was not just who he is now. Like, I just could not understand it. Like, I remember telling KB, wait till you see this guy. Wait till you see this guy.
Yeah.
You know, we just got him at, you know, pretty cheap. Wait till you see him. KB couldn't believe it. I mean, he's one of the hardest working, if not the hardest worker we had on the team. Yeah, he was a challenging coach, no question about it. He's a challenging coach. But the offset or the trade-off was worth it because who he is, just like me, who he is away from the court is, you know, Sobey's the guy that's going to help you move. And, you know, he's the guy that's going to walk your dog. He's the guy that's going to, you know, he's a great guy. So away from the court, he's a great guy. So you gotta be able to put those things together.
And, you know, another, like with Nathan, I called him out of the blue one day, or I sent him a message and I said, look, one of my Derek Rucker basketball athletes is getting recruited by Wyoming. Can you talk to her? And boom, he was on it, you know? And those things, you know, you hear people, and this is a hard thing when you have respect and you like a person or they're your friend and you just hear people tearing them down. And it's like, you know, you can't just sit out there defending the person, you know, like you try and tell people, hey, Sobey is cool. He's good. What you see on court, he's fucking trying to win. All right. That's the way it manifests in him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's part of the old days. You don't make friends on the court. You know, I'm not, when I played, you wouldn't have liked me at all. I mean, you know, no one liked me. And then as soon as the court was over, hey, man, we good? And if the guy said we good, then we good. Like, cool. If he said, man, get the hell out of here, I was like, all right, you soft. I'm going to go at you even harder next time. So, you know, competitive nature on the court doesn't always determine personality off the court. For the average fan, they only get to see us, you know, 2 hours a week. And they want to have a judgment on who we are as a coach and a player, because that makes them feel better. That makes them, you know, basketball and sport is not life. I mean, if I'm jumping around like I am out there on that court in regular life, I'd have had a heart attack by now.
So let's jump ahead to this final season. At what point did you ever think that team was a legitimate championship contender?
Our team this year? I didn't think we really had the skill set to win that championship. That don't mean you can't win one. I don't think we had the skill sets to win a championship or the desire to win one.
Really?
No, I don't think we had the desire to win one. That was probably bigger than even having the skill set.
Desire, you mean day-to-day consistency of training, putting in the work?
Day-to-day, what you're willing to give up so that someone else on the team is great. What are you willing to give up so that you're great? And, you know, as a coach, you know, once again, this is that whole persona that I just come in and it's my way or the highway. I have a very integrated style. I want to hear, as you know, you used to call plays. I didn't call plays when you played. You called plays. Derek, what you want to run? It's 2 minutes to go. I'll run this. All right, come, boom. I'll draw it up. We run that. So we just didn't have a lot of that this past year. We didn't have a lot of guys. I don't have first place individuals. I'm there, you know, on the day off. I'm there at 9 o'clock. Whoever shows up and want to work, let's go to work. Very few people showed up.
Really?
You know, so it was just that desire. You know, that desire there. I don't know if we had, and to be honest, like I said, it's my fault. And I said that when we finished this year up. And I guess that got lost in the verbiage. But anything and everything that went wrong there was my fault. I took the blame for that. I probably should have had first place individuals.
Yeah, well, that's what I was about to ask. You know, you felt you should have pushed some buttons and been like, hey, we need to get our asses in here and get to work. You know, we've got to improve. We're not good enough right now.
Yeah. So anything that went wrong, as I said at the end of the year, it was my fault. If we didn't get it done, it was some guys that we would pull aside and say, look, we need to get you, let's work on this. I mean, KB's a genius when it comes to, you know, developing this, developing a skill set, or coming up with a drill to work on something. If I say, KB, I need a footwork drill for such and such, man, this feet is heavy. You know, boom, he's got a footwork drill going. So, but yeah, I should have probably pushed more buttons, I would think. But we just never gelled, never got there.
And one of the guys I'm sure you thought that would be in the team and that could generate that type of work ethic was somebody who you were really high on in the preseason. And I know in talking to you that you were really looking forward to having Kevin White as part of the team.
Mm. Yeah, I was, and I still, look, I'm still happy Kevin was part of the team.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot to be said, so people probably waiting to see what my thoughts are about him. I don't have any negative feelings toward him. He has a feeling, he had a persona around me that was very gracious, very caring. He did everything I asked throughout the year. He had some more frustrations that he communicated about his inability to really lead and put guys in the right place and get them going. And, he sent me a very caring message about 2 days before he sent the other messages. So about 5 days before he sent the other messages. So, that beer in the ear that he asked me to have with him, I'm still willing to. I was disappointed to see those things come out based on what he had said before, or the way he acted throughout the year. So I was disappointed and more surprised because once again, he had acted, all throughout the year, and then even after the season, he was like, mate, I just wish I could have done better for you. And I was, the messages I had with him, and then that message came out. So, it couldn't have been reflective of what I said at the end of the year, because what I said is I want some guys to do better, but ultimately it's my fault that they didn't. And
so
that's what my dad taught me.
You didn't have any problem with Kevin White throughout the season. He was basically being reflective of himself and introspective and saying, I couldn't provide what I thought I was brought here for.
Yeah. And I kind of followed him up with, I thought it was, at the end of the day, what I brought him in for was probably unrealistic, to have him come in and be a leader in a group that he didn't know, hadn't played with, and really hadn't put his foot down. Probably wasn't realistic. But we were really, really, really looking for a strong leader this past year.
Yeah.
And we wanted Dave Anderson bad. We went after Dave big time. I thought he would have been really, really, really good for us. And we just couldn't convince him to come. We really wanted him, though. And so that's where Whitey came in the picture at. And he did, he tried to do that throughout the year. So I was a bit surprised when that happened. It was frustrating. Dude, I'm so glad I'm gone and I'm having a great time now. So I'm not even tripping on it anymore.
So does you're not a cyborg, you're not a robot. That must hit you in the guts. Like, you got to feel that as a person. Did you feel a betrayal, or are you like, fuck him? How'd you handle it?
Oh, for the first 5 hours, it's probably a little bit of everything. But it's the reality of it is, you're right, you're not a cyborg. But my miss on that was, like I said, sport is just a reflection of life. My miss on that was in life, because if a guy giving me this type of, outpour for the whole year, and then end up saying, oh, I felt this way the whole year, that's like, how can I miss that as a person? Like, if you felt that way for the whole year, how did I miss that? Because and everybody else missed that too. The other players they were surprised as well. So, but the reality of it, once someone who was a lot closer to the whole situation explained to me why things happened the way they happened, then I could never ever win in that situation. And that's when I was able to deal with it, and was totally cool, because what happened to me says a lot about other people and not a lot about who I am, because people know who I am.
So it's like, sometimes I don't follow all that stuff closely, because it's very hard. Like I mentioned before, when you're friends with someone else and you're trying to process things, and I'm also part of the media, it's a very tricky line that I have to toe. And my main thing is, I'm never going to hurt my friendship with someone that I care about. So that's the ultimate priority for me. But what I want to know is, how the hell do the messages come out of your group coach's message? How does that happen? That would piss me off. I don't know how. That would enrage me. And see, this is where the persona thing is so different, because I think people view me as the friendly guy and the nice guy, but when in fact I can be quite hostile in person.
Yeah. Once again, like I said, that's my fault. one,
Why is that your fault?
it's
You
my
trusted
fault
someone.
because I trusted someone and put someone in a situation. And, you think about this stuff and you think about it. And anybody that's ever out there played high level sport, okay, we know the messages and the antics and the things that go on behind the scenes that fans will never know and should never know. Like they couldn't understand it because they're normal human beings that walk around and greet people and say hello. They're not yelling and just threw a punch or pushed somebody or dove on the floor or screamed 2 hours before that. They lead, pretty normal lives. When you're in a high level sport, the sport that we're talking about playing here, it's messages being said that someone who has never been in that situation won't ever get. And that's what I did. I trusted someone who had never ever been around high level sport before and said, you know what, I'll show them, I've coached, 500 games. I can't be as evil as people think I am. And I've coached 500 games. But, I'll put him in that situation and it'll be good. He'll see. And no, he didn't see. So, and once again, that's someone when you got a few people trying to make you look a certain way, then anything can happen. So he didn't do it by himself. I mean, it's actually illegal to do, to actually put a private message. It's illegal to put that on someone's private message on the internet. By Australian law, it's illegal. But it's once again, D, I'm so not mad at this point. Everything happens for a reason, and everybody shows their true colors eventually. It was some warnings about that person before that I ignored from some other
Wow.
coaches, and once again, that's my fault. So,
Yeah.
Hey fans, it's my fault.
Yeah.
I ain't tripping on, it's my fault.
And White also made, and here's another thing, like every single season, I played 15 seasons in the NBL, just about every single season, there was a fight.
Yeah.
There was a fight. I may have been in the fight. The coach may have been in the fight. Somebody else may have been in the fight. Somebody was fighting every year. It's no big deal. So when this is the thing, so Kevin White makes the comment about you and Sobe getting in an altercation, and most players or athletes are like, yeah, but that's the tricky part.
I actually don't think he made a comment about me and Sobe. I think everyone assumed it was me and Sobe.
Well,
And once again,
it was alluded to or inferred, right?
well, he alluded to or inferred it was something, and once again, that's just not something that I'm not going to talk to anyone about, whether it happened or didn't happen. And the fact that he brought it up, it's irrelevant. Like,
But he wasn't there. He wasn't there.
That tells
And
you everything
like,
right there.
like I don't know. But even if he was there, it's not that big a deal.
Look, he went out. That message that he put out was not to make me look good. Okay, that's the bottom line. So he put out a message that wasn't contrived to make me look good. It wasn't contrived to portray who I am. It is enough reasons to dislike me for you have to make up something. It's just, you don't have to. It's enough reasons to dislike me. If you come play for me, and I tell every single person that come to play for me, if you come play for me and you play hard every day and you play hard every game, you will think I'm the best coach you've ever had in your life. Because I'll come in and work with you. I'll give you time. I'll lend you money. I'll talk to you about your girlfriend, I'll be there for you. But if you do not work hard, you're probably not going to like me. I'll still loan you money. I'll still talk to you about your girlfriend. But I will be yelling at your butt like crazy during, practice or a game. And you're not going to like me yelling at you every day because it's going to get louder and louder until you hear me. So, sometimes my philosophy on, playing hard interrupts other people's vision on how good they want to be. And so sometimes it's confrontation.
Can Harry Froling get to the NBA still?
Harry can play wherever Harry wants to be. Harry can play wherever Harry wants to be.
But what?
It's on Harry. It's on Harry. I mean, like I said before, all those great players that I coached, going back from Benny Castle, who was a bench player, to making the Boomers team, to Stephen Black. I mean, you were already established, but guys that wasn't ball players, to end up being these ball players, I did not make them good. They made them good. They made them good. Every one of those guys were extremely ridiculous hard workers. Chris Goulding, I couldn't beat Chris Goulding to the gym. He wasn't going to let me. So my deal is to try to beat everybody to the gym. If I get there at 8, he's going to get there at 7:30. I get there at 7:30, he's going to get there at 7. I said, Chris, we got to stop playing these games. I mean, Chris Goulding made Chris Goulding good. If Harry wants to be great, Harry can make Harry great because he's got all the tools. He's got the footwork. He's got the hands. He can shoot the ball.
Pass.
He can pass his butt off. I mean, he made some passes in practice, some full court bounce passes. They're out of control. But, it comes down to Harry. I can't do it. My job is to show you a roadmap. It's your job to follow the roadmap.
Wow.
So,
2 minutes left. 2 minutes left in the game. So what's next? What are you going to do now, man? You're a free agent. I don't know what's going to happen with this NBL. I don't see a spot for you probably coming up in this NBL. If you believe the rumors, the NBL doesn't want you around anyway. They've been trying to get you out for a long time.
Look, I mean, I think I've said it before to many. My days in the NBL are done. I'm not looking to coach in the NBL.
Really?
I haven't. No, I said that to right when everything went down. I mean, I am not looking to coach in the NBL. I have no desire at all to coach in today's NBL. So what happened for me was great. It was a great situation. I left with no malice. I was a little disappointed when everything went down, but initially when I left, I had no malice at all. I was happy to be out of the NBL and looking forward to it. I will say this, Connor's a great guy. I know Connor personally. He's a great guy, so I wish Connor luck, but, I probably won't be at many games next year, and I'm looking to try to move on to the next level.
Well, Joey, there might not be anybody at the games, so.
Well, yeah, this COVID's throwing a whole switch. I tell you what, this is going to separate the guys who love the game and the guys who like the game, because a lot of guys can't play without fans. They need someone there to tell them to run hard and you're good and you're wonderful, and they can't play hard without it. And some guys ain't going to be getting paid the money they've been getting paid before, and that's going to change their mind as well. I think COVID is going to reshape the whole sporting, not just in basketball. It's going to change a lot in football and everything else. A lot of people need those guys, those fans to pat them on the back. The love for the game is not high enough. It's going to get tested.
Wow.
COVID's going to test it. So.
I was really enjoying the Perth-Sydney Grand Final without any fans. I was enjoying the basketball.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me, like, especially as a spectator. I'm just watching the game. Like, I'm watching it go back and forth and watching guys, do this and that. I mean, to be honest with you, I didn't watch any of the finals. I was in Bali with my feet up. But so I didn't watch any of the finals. But, it doesn't matter to me. If you played in Europe, you played in some blackout games if you played in Europe. So I coached and played in Europe, and it was with nobody in the stand. So the guys from Europe are used to it.
We're about to get cut off, but I appreciate the honesty, bro, and hang in there. I'll talk to you. I'll get you back on in a couple of months.
Okay, cool. Appreciate
Peace.
it.